Welcome to Vysh IAS. So we'll be continuing with the Plums series of polity, governance and schemes today. Okay, so if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing this channel so that you will be getting daily free updates on UPSC. And if you're looking for a good quality test series, then you can contact the number which is given on the screen 7200681675. Let's move on to the first question. The Parliament of India acquires the power to legislate on any item in the state list in national interest if a resolution to that effect is passed by. So look the question carefully. It is talking about some provision related to center-state relation. This thing you have to devise from the question itself. How can you devise that? You have to search for the keywords whenever you get a question. So here if you look, the Parliament of India, the national interest, both are keywords. So on seeing these keywords only, this thing should strike in your mind that this question is somewhere taken from the center-state relations. Okay, so the options will be also related to the static portion only. Okay, so look at the options. First option is talking about Lok Sabha by simple majority of its total membership. Second is also Lok Sabha, but the majority given is 2/3 of the total membership. And the third is Rajya Sabha by simple majority of its total membership. Fourth is also Rajya Sabha, but the majority being talked is about 2/3 of the members present and voting. Okay, so one thing you have to be clear is what is the special role of Lok Sabha and what is the special role of Rajya Sabha. Okay, both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha both are having certain special powers in different spheres. What are those spheres and what are the special roles and responsibilities do they have? Okay, this thing it should be very clear for you. And another thing is the types of majorities and where these majorities are used. Okay, in certain provisions a simple majority is used, whereas in certain other provisions that 2/3 majority is used. Okay, effective majority kind of thing with respect to the removal of vice president. Okay, so which majority is used in which all places, that you should be very clear. Okay, so here the correct answer comes out to be option 4, Rajya Sabha by a simple majority of not less than 2/3 of its members present and voting. So in such a case, if Rajya Sabha is able to do such a majority or pass such a majority, then a resolution can be passed in national interest. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Now can you please recall which is this article number? So this article number is nothing but article 249. Article 249 empowers the Parliament to legislate with respect to any matter in the state list in the national interest. So this is exactly taken from the Lakshmikant. So please go through this. Okay, so such a resolution, it will remain valid for 1 year. Okay, so the validity of such resolutions also has to be done. So what you can do is today please go and revise all those provisions which are stated under the center-state relations, which are the bodies involved, whether Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha, and you have to take care of the thing. How much is the validity, what is the time duration for which such a resolution is lasting. Different resolution, it will be lasting for different time durations. Like emergency it is having something 6 months. Okay, so what is that duration? Please make a comparative analysis and be clear with this portion. Okay, now come to the next question. The Parliament can make any law for whole or any part of India for implementing international treaties. So this is also taken from Lakshmikant. So here the keyword is international treaties. So whenever you see international treaties, you have to remember the fact that Parliament is the body which is involved in this. Okay, so otherwise you can think it logically also. If Parliament is not the body, then states have to be the body. Okay, so if any state has to be given some special powers, then there will be obviously some conflict arising out of it. Okay, so now states are empowered, but Parliament is empowered to implement the international treaties. So here from this statement only you can actually infer that Parliament is the supreme body in implementing the international treaties. So obviously no states will be involved if the consent of states is required. Okay, so you can look at the options. The options are talking about the consent of states. Okay, whether the consent of the states is required and how much state, if even if it is the majority of the states or some states can agree. Okay, like that the options are being framed. So please look at the options. First is with the consent of all the state. Second is with the consent of majority of the state. Third is with the consent of the states concerned. Okay, and fourth is the consent without the consent of any state. Okay, so here you can think logically also, since Parliament is the supreme authority involved in implementing the international treaties, no states will be logically involved in this, because if that is the case, if that would be the case, then obviously there will be chances of more conflict. We have to avoid that. So the logical option, logically the option should be fourth, and the correct option is also 4. Without the consent of any state, Parliament has this power. Okay, so this is one provision. Now let's move on to the next question. The question reads, with reference to the Constitution of India, the directive principles of state policy constitute limitations upon 1. legislative function and 2. executive function. Okay, so the options are like 1, 2 only, then both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. So a typical 2 statement kind of question. So it should be something superficial. Okay, so beware of these 2 statement kind of questions. UPSC will be framing 2 statement questions in a difficult way. Okay, so here if you know the correct difference between DPSP and fundamental rights, you can easily answer this question. So here the statement is talking about fundamental rights. Okay, so the fundamental rights, they are acting as the limitations on the legislative and executive functions. If you look at the DPSP, they are not any as themselves, they are not having any power. Okay, they are just instrument, they are instructing government how to function, they are not putting any limitations upon any organ. Okay, so the statement here, it is stressing upon fundamental rights only, it is not DPSP. Fundamental rights is the thing which is putting limitations upon legislative and executive committee. Okay, and you can note down the point. According to Sapru committee in 1945, 2 categories of individual rights were suggested, and these 2 categories are justiciable and non-justiciable rights. So out of this, the non-justiciable rights, they came out to be the DPSP. Okay, and the justiciable rights, it was stated as fundamental rights. Okay, so please note this point. This categorization was done by Sapru committee in 1945. Committees can also be asked in UPSC Prelims. So please note down which are the committees involved in news, and which are the static which are the committees which are important from the static portion also. Okay, and they can frame questions based on that. So please beware of that. Okay, so here the correct answer comes out to be neither 1 nor 2. And please note down the point about fundamental rights also. The limitations upon legislative and executive function is put by fundamental rights only. Now let's move on to the next question. According to the Constitution of India, which of the following are fundamental for the governance of the country? And 4 options are given: fundamental rights, fundamental duties, directive principles of state policy, fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Okay, so many candidates have committed mistake in this question. Okay, so what you have to do is, whenever you are learning polity, keywords are as important as the concepts. Okay, concept clarity is the first thing and keywords is the second thing. Okay, both you have to be very clear. In this question, if you note the point, the Constitution itself declares that the directive principles of state policy are fundamental to the governance of the country. So in the Constitution itself, it is stated like that. You should not commit a mistake like fundamental rights. You should not pick up the option A, that is fundamental rights, or simply because the question is asking about fundamental. Since fundamental word is there, we can go with fundamental rights. That is not the way. Okay, here Constitution itself is declaring that DPSP is fundamental for the governance of the country. So your answer should be DPSP. So that's why I'm repeatedly talking about keywords. Whatever keywords is there, please underline that and revise it multiple times so that you get used to it. Okay, so here the correct answer is option number C, directive principles of state policy. So now let's move on to the next question. The question reads, Attorney General of India can, first is take part in the proceedings of Lok Sabha, second is be a member of the committee of Lok Sabha, third is speak in the Lok Sabha, fourth is vote in the Lok Sabha. And you are being asked which of the above statements is or are correct, and 4 options are given. So this is a typical multi-statement kind of question and you can actually easily attempt this question. Okay, so if you have to go with elimination, you can think like 4th option. Come to the 4th option, voting in the Lok Sabha. See, Lok Sabha is such a representative body. We are electing our members and we are sending them to Lok Sabha. So voting is like a very powerful function. Okay, so a non-elected member will that member have the right to vote? No, certainly no. Okay, this is the knack of politics. Okay, so you have to be clear with this. So voting power, it is like elected members, it will be linked to elected members only. So you can eliminate this option. So if you eliminate this option, 2 is gone, option 2 is gone, 2 and 4 is gone. Okay, then come to the first, second and third. This is like static portion only. Actually this question should be done out of static knowledge only, but if you have to go with elimination, I am telling a trick like voting power and representative bodies both are linked, and whenever a non-elected member gets a power to vote, you have to think twice or thrice. Okay, will that member get such a power? Then the very virtue of democracy gets damaged. Okay, so you can actually eliminate this fourth option, and any non-elected members, they will be having voting powers very rarely only. Most of the cases they won't be having any voting powers. Okay, so first, second and third is correct, whereas fourth is not correct. So you can go with the option 1, 2 and 3 only. Okay. That's the end of today's session. So we'll meet in the next week in the next episode. Until then, stay tuned. Thank you.